Howdy, Space Rangers, Captain Phoenix here. Last week I asked if y'all wanted me to review Dragons Rising Season 3, and a majority of the vote responded with a resounding yes. After thinking it over, I've come to the conclusion that I kind of agree with you guys. It's easier to talk about the parts of the season than judging the whole thing right away. I mean, heck, the script for this video alone is 5 pages long. Most of my videos range around 3 to 4, so we're gonna be here a while. So imagine if I tried to review all 20 episodes that way. But even from a contextual standpoint, so far, both parts of a Dragons Rising season have been different from each other, especially Season 2. So I think this new formula of me reviewing every first part early in the year, then the second part and my final thoughts of the season later on is probably my best bet, and the best bet for this channel. Anyway, Dragons Rising. You guys know I absolutely love this show and consider it one of the best soft reboots and one of my favorite cartoons of all time, on par with the original show. So, what do I think of its third and later season? Well, I don't have as many praises on it as I did last time, and I think the cracks are starting to show. I just want to let you know that for the sake of this review, I will be borrowing footage from other YouTubers, and as always, I will link them down in the description below. This video does come from a bunch of YouTubers all over the place, mainly because Lego is very sensitive about who gets to use their clips and how they get to use them, and I'm not willing to play with the big dogs on this one because this review took me way too long to write. So this comes from multiple channels. I know we have Crusty783 Tannerfishies, Weevie. I don't know if there's a fourth one coming to mind, but I'll link them all in the description. I'll shout them out because as always, I appreciate these guys. Go credit the original creators, and without them, I wouldn't be making this review as is right now. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into the review. But to avoid the doom and gloom, let's talk about some of my favorite things from the season. The biggest and most prominent is Aaron's arc. I've had a rough relationship with the character of Aaron ever since he was introduced back in Season 1, and while I do plan on talking more about him in a later video, in this season, Aaron's quote-unquote villain arc was the best way to write a character like this going back. I love how he doesn't easily fall for Rasa's manipulation, but also doesn't have a lot of counters to his arguments, and I love how he doesn't feel the need to fight the ninja, the people he once looked up to and then disappointed him. The fact that the season had tricked him and us into thinking his parents were dead allowed for some great G-rated inks, but also showed us what a character like Aaron was willing to do to save his loved ones. Bro heard Ras was going to undo the merge, potentially hurting millions of people and separating him from his friends, and bro was immediately on board for that. Aaron at this point isn't evil, but he's willing to let bad things happen to get the results he needs. This is how you do Anakin right, Star Wars! As said earlier, I am planning on making a full, more in-depth video about Aaron, so I won't really go into his and Russ's relationship here, but do turn on that notification bell and keep your eyes peeled in the future. Other positives of the season that I feel should go without mentioning are the animation and fight scenes. Dragons Rising continues to look amazing. It continues to have scale, it continues to improve on the squash and stretch of the early Wildbrain era, and it continues to have imaginative fight scenes this late in the game. I have nothing but praise for the animation team. Actually, I want to glaze the animation this season specifically even more. I don't know if it's just me, but this feels like the biggest Dragons Rising season yet. There are so many locations and set pieces we get to visit. Yeah, most of them are old, but they bring a couple new ones to keep things fresh. We got the Spectral Lands, the Random Gravesite Island, the First Realm, the City of Temples, and the Crossroads. There are a lot of locations this time around, and I love that it makes the budget and world feel bigger, and of course opens the door to so much world building. It's honestly crazy how a Lego show has one of the most defined worlds in animation. Heck, we even get an appearance of that random, sea city, that little Styx-like city from Season 1 with the giant lobster. We get a random appearance and they just passed by it. I'm like, they didn't need to do that. They would have saved a bit of animation avoiding that, but they did it anyway, and I love that. This season also manages to avoid two things that bothered me in the other seasons. The first is the lore. Dragons Rising has kind of become notorious in the community for retconning stuff, but Season 3 surprisingly doesn't do that. It keeps everything consistent and even introduces new lore that makes me interested as to what they're gonna do next. The other thing they do is completely remove Dorama from this part. I swear, Dorama is the most annoying character Dragons Rising has given us, and I was so glad when there was no sight of him this time. Though they did fight his puppet, but I'm cool with that. However, even though they removed my problem with Dorama, they opened a couple other, arguably bigger problems. Let's start with one of the two elephants in the room. The first is the Formulaic plot. Normally, I wouldn't get on Ninjago's case about following its tried and true formulas to give us a new season, but Dragons Rising has been so good and surprisingly subversive so far that I honestly thought the show was beyond using every trick in the book. So imagine my surprise when I found out this season wasn't really trying at all and was straightforwardly following every single bullet point to the letter. Oh no guys, we need to stop an ancient evil from rising! This was literally the plot of the oh Jesus Christ! This was literally the plot of the last season. We have to stop the villains from getting these special blades to release the big evil monster! If you call these things fang blades, there would be no difference. Oh my goodness guys, the ancient evil is a big giant monster! Wow, we have never seen that before! Never! Ever! Ever! Oh no, y'all! A ninja has died! Fam, do you know what show you're watching? This season even has the same pitfalls as almost every other Ninjago season, with the new season having a weak start but great finish. But I've gotten so used to that I barely register it anymore these days. At the very least, I do give this season its flowers by not wasting any time and jumping into the plot as fast as possible. The other elephant in the room, or just as big but will take longer to unpack, is the bloated cast. Dragons Rising, being a sequel show, has the daunting challenge of not only continuing the stories of the legacy characters, but also introducing and growing the new characters. They got around this problem easily in the beginning by splitting the original ninja up early, but in this latest season, I think it's safe to say that they have a character balancing act problem. And being a Ninjago show that heavily relies on the formula, it falls into the trap of introducing a new character every couple of episodes to focus on. You could really feel it this season, especially given how fast they had to write Cole, one of the original main characters, out of the plot. Side note, but it is really crazy that they didn't know what to do with Cole in this season at all. Like, they freaking made his voice deeper for no reason other than to probably differentiate him from Moro because they share the same voice actor. This bloat also affects other characters who have had established personalities or arcs in previous seasons. Rogue, for example, is being set up as this no-nonsense bounty hunter who may have a light edge to him, but you don't really know. Of course, at the end of the part, it's revealed that Rogue is Jay, and the minute the mask comes off, all the aura that had been building throughout the season was gone. I get that they wanted to have a comedic moment, but having Jay whine and cry after everything we saw him do was complete tonal whiplash to me. This was definitely a terrible choice. All I can ask at this point is that they explore his shattered goodness in the next parts. Don't even get me started on how dirty they did Kai. I made a video a couple months ago glazing Ninjago for how well they treated Kai in the first two seasons of Dragons Rising, but in this season, he's gone back to his early wild-brain self of being immature and impulsive, not even letting Nia finish a sentence before acting out. Oh, and remember how I admired Kai for being fiercely protective and loving of his team? Well, screw that! This season, he takes every opportunity to clown on and insult Jay as much as possible. Don't get me wrong, he teased Jay in the 11-minute era as well, but back then, it could have been seen as brotherly teasing or friendly rivalry, and Jay at least had some agency. This time, Jay has lost all his memories and his goodness is shattered, yet Kai continues to clown on him even when Nia is clearly distressed. This is not Kai. I swear, with this character, it's always one step forward, two steps back, and I did not like Kai at all in this season. Funny how the one Dragons Rising season that doesn't get Kai well is the weakest of the bunch so far. But if you think the main characters were done poorly, imagine how much worse the villains got it. The Forbidden Five are probably the most hyped up villains in all of Ninjago. They were set up throughout all of Season 2, and Season 3 paved the way for them to be the biggest menaces the ninja would face. They are polar opposites in terms of ideals. How are they in the final execution? Well,
Wonderful! She's a fraud!
Yeah, so most of the fan base agree that the Forbidden Five suck booty, and outside their ultimately cool designs, each one of them has their own problems. Zart is the most embarrassing of the group. Bros out here saying generic villain lines only to get clapped by Pixel. How are you supposed to be a threatening elemental conqueror of a realm with a previously unbeatable fighting style only to get folded and dog-walked by a non-powered robot? Kerr has a nice voice, but she does next to nothing all season, and her power is kind of dumb if you think about it for more than a second. How does heat counter decay? Does that mean decay is another version of cold? What's going on here? How does that work? Why did that work? Oh right, limited runtime and, you know, random plot ex machinas, I guess. Rox is alright. I like that she's a leader purely by circumstance and intimidation rather than actual leadership skills. I also like how we get to see more of her personality. She is such an entitled brat and that shines through perfectly. However, that's about all the good things I've got to say about her. She's very much a style of a substance villain. Aside from her opening narration at the beginning of the season, she doesn't really have any other intimidating moments. Her premiere episode and fight where she's supposed to shine is very flawed and nonsensical if you think about it for even a little bit. The fight is fun, but the context around it could have been handled better. Also, Nia totally killed that guy. There's a guy in that fight who Nia wishes has jelly bones. Yeah, no, he's totally dead. I get it's a kid's show, but she just straight up killed the guy. And the Jin broke his rules of he can't harm people, because I'm pretty sure that hurts as hell to have jelly bones, but that's neither here nor there. Noct is carried by a season 2 aura, so really not much is new there, and he doesn't really do anything exciting this season, so And Drix is weirdly enough the most useful and capable of the 5. Bro got 2 of the 5 blades while soloing the ninja in a 1v5 and their ugly flying car. And not just that, he also managed to capture Raz and deliver him to Noct for revenge, despite Noct not liking him all that much. Bro really decided to be the MVP of the team for no reason other than for the love of the game. By the way the part ended, it seems like the Forbidden 5 are dead, but if they are somehow still alive, then I really hope the show slows down, doesn't introduce as many characters, and focuses on building them up as actual villains and threats, but that remains to be seen. The last major complaint I have is that the way Aaron beat Thunderfang doesn't fully make sense. Then again, it's Aaron. A lot of things really don't make sense with him. Self-taught spin. But that said, topic for another video. Anyway, the elixir Aaron used on Thunderfang specifically helps spirits move on to their next plane of existence. Thunderfang is mostly made of the spirits he's consumed, but he's also a mortalish dragon at the end of the day. Unless he's a spirit dragon and I missed that somewhere, he shouldn't have died, just be depowered. I've heard some defend this scene by saying Aaron essentially poured gasoline on a fire so it overloaded Thunderfang's power, which killed him, but if that's the case, the episode really glossed the hell over that, didn't it? Back to the stuff I did like. I really liked that the First Realm was a prominent location in this season. It was about time the birthplace of dragons finally had something to do in the show about dragons, though we still got nothing on Firstborn, so I'm still a sad boy. And despite the bashing of the characters I did earlier, I don't hate all of them. Thunderfang was actually a good villain, who I'm glad the show didn't waste. Even though they killed him off in one episode, they do plan to bring him back with more nefarious schemes, and I like that. I hated his voice at first, but it really grew on me the more the season progressed. Frag also brought an interesting dynamic to the team, though I thought it was weird that the writers seemed to be interested in shipping him with Sora, but we'll see how that goes. Pixel is back and prettier than ever.
What? What? Nothing. You said what first? I didn't say what first. I asked you what. No, you said and then what, and I said what. No, I said what? Like what? You said what first?
Her appearance alone made watching Zayd more enjoyable and reminded me why Pixane is the best ship in the show. Sorry JS shippers, but that's the truth. And last but certainly not least, we have the GOAT of the season, Moro. This series treated Moro so well and did the impossible. They gave him a redemption arc that didn't feel like poorly done fan service, and they made the character likable beyond his season 5 angst. I could make a whole other video talking about the miracle that is Moro's writing in this season, but I won't since every other Ninjago fan has done so, but I still want to give my thoughts across. Regardless, Moro was amazing. He took responsibility for all his faults and actually changed his ways to genuinely help people without it being overly angsty, profound, or pretentious. He doesn't meet a single ninja this season aside from Aaron, who's not even a classic character, and yet I am so satisfied with that. He's not forced to join the group for any contrived reason, but still has a part to play in the plot. The fact that he admits Wu was right, is able to apply practical wisdom to Aaron, and is able to come off as a hero at the end of it all, actually made me feel something. It also helps that his episode had some really good lore in it. Moro Glazers can have the win on this one. The writers did his character so right. And that about brings us here. So far, Dragon's Rising Season 3 is the weakest Dragon's Rising installment yet, aside from maybe Season 1 Part 1. But by Ninjago standards, that's still amazing. I wouldn't give a final rating till the whole season is out, but I really hope Part 2 picks up the slack. I refuse to address the goddamn leak that happened, but yeah, we're not talking about that. Anyways guys, that's gonna be all from me today. Tell me, what do you guys think? What did you think of the characters and how they were handled this season, both returning and old? What do you think of the direction the series is heading in, and what do you think about Dragon's Rising in general? Let me know down in the comments below, and as always, let's have a discussion. Thank you guys so very much for watching. Be sure to like if you like, subscribe if you haven't already, hit that notification bell to be part of the team, leave a comment down below, slap a cow, and with that, I will see you in another universe. Goodbye, my Rangers.